Good afternoon, ladies and gents. My name's Chris Evans. I'm the Managing Director of Birimian. Thank you all for being here today. Please be aware there's some forward-looking statements. So Birimian is listed on the ASX. Our share price currently has suffered much like many of our lithium peers. It's down around 16 cents. We've got 264 million shares on issue, and that puts our market cap around $43 million. We're focused on the Mina Lithium project in Marley in West Africa, and we've got a couple of gold interests as well, gold tenements, some of which we derive a royalty from. One of the key factors in a company like ours, with a project like ours, for success is the management team. Investors, off-take partners, any strategic partners will immediately look at the management team and decide whether they're people who they think can deliver the project and who they would like to work with, certainly in my experience. We've been really fortunate to gather together the management team you see before you on the board now. All of the directors have very recent relevant experience either in lithium, in mine development or in financing mine development. And the management team, the bottom three guys you see there, also have similar experience. So Mark Rowley, as a project director, has recently built a lithium project, and the other two gentlemen have extensive lithium contacts around the world. It's probably worth me adding that this board we've gathered together is only a new board. There was a board refresh in November last year. The old board largely resigned, and now we have this new board in place which is ready to take our Mina Lithium project forward. Last year we released a pre-feasibility study into our Mina Lithium project, and it showed absolutely fantastic economic results which you see before you now. With an assumed sell price of $680 a tonne for our 6% concentrate, we came up with an NPV of $690 million, a mine life of 16 years, producing 360,000 tonnes of 6% concentrate. Now that's equivalent to 53,000 tonnes of lithium carbonate equivalent. Our resource is 103 million tonnes at 1.34%, and our reserves 31 million tonnes at 1.56%. So that puts us just outside the top 5 in the world in terms of size and quality of resource hard rock lithium deposits. So when anyone asks me about the highlights and what makes the Mina project special, these tend to be the points that I refer to. We've got a brand new board in place, all of whom have experience in developing projects like this, and all of whom are very committed to the project and the company. All of us have bought shares on market since we've been appointed in the last 4 or 5 months. The mine life of 16 years is more than enough to recover the payback period, which is less than 3 years in itself, and the resource is highly expandable, which I'll talk about in a moment. We're the most permitted or the most advanced project in terms of permitting lithium project in West Africa. We had our environmental permit granted by the Malian government about 3 months ago. We've now submitted our mining or exploitation permit, and we expect that to be approved in the coming months. We've got a memorandum of understanding with a Chinese converter and a letter of intent signed with Changsha Research Institute, who's a subsidiary of China Minmetals. They're interested in EPC construction of our project. And Marley is a great place to mine. There's 12 operating gold mines there. Mining makes up about 60% of the GDP of the country, and we will make up about 13% when we're in full production. So mining's the lifeblood of Marley, and we will make up a significant portion of that mining. I mentioned before the resource and the reserve. The top white parallelogram you can see there represents the reserve, the 31 million tonnes at 1.56%. That doesn't have a cut-off grade like the majority of our peers do around the world. Because the quality of our ore body is so high, we will be processing every bit of ore which sits inside the pit shell. So that makes mining a lot simpler for us, and it gives us some flexibility in further expansion of our resource and reserve. The The second larger parallelogram is the resource. If that converts at the same rate into reserve, which the reserve already did, which was a 70% conversion rate, we'll end up with 70 million tonnes of reserve and therefore a 35-year mine life. It's just a matter of drilling. Further to the south is outcropping pegmatites, which we've viewed. We haven't yet drilled. We're very confident that they will also show mineralisation and offer further expansion to our resource and reserve. Excuse me. Also, the area you see on your right there represents only about 12% of our Torokoro permit. We have every reason to believe there should be further lithium on that permit. This slide here just shows the relative size of our project in relation to other hard rocks in the world, and the colours represent green are uncommitted, so hard rock projects without their offtake signed yet. The very large one is AVZ, and then you've got us. Anyone who's looking for hard rock lithium in the next few years really has to look at Birimian as one of their few significant sources. Our Capex is $200 million, and that's got a 23% contingency in it. We believe that's appropriate for a PFS stage. We're now advancing the definitive feasibility study, which is due to be complete by the end of this year. The contingency will reduce as the risk in the project reduces, but I think $200 million is about right for the Capex of this project, and certainly the DFS so far hasn't thrown up anything that would change that. The mining itself is extremely simple. It's an open pit mine, and we've got a 3.5 to 1 strip ratio for the life of mine. We'll be using a standard mining fleet, and probably the most important thing to note out of that slide is that during the PFS we achieved a 70% recovery for the process plant. Now that was really based on the limited amount of test work we'd done at the time. Our peers around the world with similar deposits have achieved 80%, and we have every reason to believe that we'll do so as well with further test work, which we're conducting at the moment. The processing of the ore is very simple, and it's exactly what our peers in the Pilbara region of Western Australia are doing. So we crush it to about 5 millimetres, we put it through dense media separation, which is a gravity process, and we get a 6% lithium oxide product out of that. That's the product you can see on the bottom left. Whatever's not made into product goes into a ball mill, is ground down to about 100 microns, and then goes into a flotation circuit from which we get a fine product, and that's the fine product you can see next to the course. The two are ground together and then transported to port. We've converted some of the product we've made in the lab into lithium carbonate, battery-grade lithium carbonate, on an unoptimised process, and we successfully made it, so it's definitely amenable to further conversion. Probably worth noting there the all-in sustaining cost is $320 a tonne, and the assumed sell price is $680 a tonne. Marley itself is a very stable mining jurisdiction, which I've already talked about, and our transportation of just under 1,000 kilometres to the coast is nothing unusual. Greater volumes than we will be shipping of cotton regularly go out of Marley. I've got a few slides here on what we see in lithium demand. It's only increasing. This represents EV sales in China over the first few months of this year compared to previous years. It's up, in some cases, 175%. So from here, we're expecting our mining or exploitation permit in the coming months. We'll be completing our DFS by the end of the year, and we intend to make a final investment decision by the middle of next year, immediately after which we'll start construction. That'll put us into production by the end of 2021. And also we're about to change our name to Marley Lithium. That was approved by shareholders last week, so please watch out for Marley Lithium. Represents effectively a new start and a new direction for the company, and also clearly states what we're about. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Chris.